So, good morning and welcome to Essential Ingredients. I want to introduce to you today Ron. He is a beauty chemist, and I'm so excited to have him on the podcast as part of the beauty series to hear more about what they say is clean beauty and what we can see for the future and what role natural and food will play in this. So, stay tuned. Great. So, thanks for joining me today, Ron. I'm really excited to learn more about your brand and what you're doing. For those that are not familiar with your brand, could you just give us the high level and then we'll dig deeper into it?
Absolutely. So I'm a veteran cosmetic chemist. I've developed products for many big brands, including Clinique, Estee Lauder, La Mer, Revlon, L'Oreal, and launched my own brand called Beauty Stat 5 years ago with the mission of unlocking the potential of gold standard ingredients. We are a prestige cosmetic chemist founded, clinically tested, science-backed brand. We are known for our vitamin C serum. That's our best seller. And our innovation around that ingredient is stabilizing this well-known ingredient that is known to be unstable, which means it tends to oxidize and turn brown and no longer deliver results for consumers.
That the vitamin C, like when you put it in your hand and all of a sudden it's like turning color, like it's making your face a little bit more orange. Have you ever had that experience?
Yeah, so that's from using a vitamin C serum that's oxidized, meaning it's started to shift, just like you think about an apple as it starts to turn brown. That's oxidation.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, that means it's no longer desirable. It's no longer going to deliver any nutritional benefits or health benefits. And the same thing with vitamin C when you apply it to skin. You want a vitamin C serum that stays stable and delivers results for your skin, specifically around brightening the skin and
Mm-hmm.
evening out skin tone.
Oh, we could all use that. At least I could.
And this is the product right here. This is our best selling vitamin C serum. It's our Beauty Stat Universal C Skin Refiner, and it contains 20% vitamin C, which is working to help fade hyperpigmentation, even the skin tone, and brighten the skin.
I've been searching for the right one for so long, I can't tell you. I have hyperpigmentation here and a little here. I mean, not that I really want to point it out on a video.
Your skin looks great. Don't worry. Your skin looks great.
But that being said, I've tried so many things. And I think it's finally getting better over time, but it's been years that, and, I wear very little stuff to cover up. But anyway, that goes back to the ingredients of the products that we're using. And so I really have focused what I have on skincare products versus makeup. And I think there's been a real shift in that too for many companies. They're now making more skincare versus the makeup that just you apply it, but it's not doing anything for the skin in the same way.
Justine, it's such a big trend right now. We call it the skinification of beauty products, which means bringing skincare benefits to products that don't typically work to help treat the skin. So, yes, you're right. Foundation, lipstick, lip gloss, blush, all of these products are now bringing in skincare benefits to help treat the skin as well as give skin that instant color which we expect from makeup products.
Right, exactly. You expect to be a little brighter, a little sunnier, a little bit,
Yes,
not so. I mean, for me, I can tell the difference, and I just feel like a lot of it is giving moisture to the skin, correct me if I'm wrong, because as
absolutely.
you're feeding the skin with the nutrients, it's bringing it to make it look its best version of itself, I think.
That's correct. With these skincare benefits, it's working to help hydrate the skin, repair skin's barrier. And when you have healthy skin means more glowing, more radiant skin.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So I'm curious, there's been a lot of talk around clean beauty, and there's
Yes,
been a lot of talk about what we put on our face, shouldn't we care as much as the things that we eat, right? And
right.
then there's been some controversy about that it doesn't really get into the bloodstream, and maybe we should look at biotech. So I'd love to explore this conversation with you and get your thoughts on it, and where you see the future of beauty and what role, if any, food is playing in that, or do you think that was a moment in time and now we're fast forward to biotech? So let's start, sort
Yep.
of where you guys are at this moment and what we can see on the horizon for you and how that connects with it.
Sure. So, a couple things to talk about. So, you mentioned clean and clean beauty. So, there's no definition for clean. There's no established standard for what clean is. So, some retailers have their own definition, and what that means is they decide there are ingredients that are or might be known to be harmful to the skin or unsafe for the skin or irritate the skin. And they've isolated those ingredients and said, okay, if your product contains those ingredients, you are not deemed clean for us, and you do not get that clean. Correct. You don't get that clean stamp of approval, but every retailer is different. So our approach, Beauty Stats approach, is to only use ingredients that are both safe for the skin and effective. So we do comply with the various retailer clean standards. And when I say retailers, I'm talking about the beauty retailers like Sephora or Ulta Beauty or Target. These are some retailers that have their own definitions of clean. So we abide and comply with all of those various standards. But for the consumer, again, the most important thing is to deliver products that are both safe and effective, and not try to necessarily demonize ingredients. You mentioned about ingredients that might be harmful, might get into the bloodstream. Yes, some of those ingredients which are deemed not to be clean, there has been some data showing there is some penetration, but the data does not necessarily prove out that they are specifically dangerous in the long term. Our bodies are meant to withstand things that we encounter in nature in everyday life. Some things do get into the skin, and then some things our body is able to handle and defend itself. And it's all about context and the amount. Trace amounts can be totally safe. It's overexposure, which is really does not really happen. So for most consumers, we're all dealing or working with relatively safe products, and there's no big concern from any specific products being dangerous in most cases. So I think we're playing in a very good for you, healthy category. And again, our brand Beauty Stat is about promoting safe and effective products.
So when you guys were developing your vitamin C, or for that fact, developing anything, what role did food play in it? Because we've heard a lot of conversation around this. And when I say food, it could be herbs, it could be anything. Um, and I don't know that it necessarily correlates to vitamin C per se, but the idea is all these organic ingredients around us, what role do they play, whether it's in this or in the future, for you in production of new products?
Yeah, it's the whole food or food derived, natural derived products, so all the category of natural, and capitalizing on the fact that consumers recognize certain certain types of foods as being healthy and good for them. And the thought is that if you can ingest them and they're healthy to ingest, applying them topically might deliver some benefits. It's not always the case. It sometimes it does work out. For example, we use green tea, or the most effective or most potent part of green tea, which is known as a very healthy beverage in the food space, and we leverage that because there's proven results that the active part of green tea can be very effective for soothing the skin, providing anti-inflammatory benefits. So that's one type of food type of ingredient that we leverage. But again, it's not for the marketing purposes, meaning we're not talking to it because we're trying to get consumers to feel that we are, healthy food means healthy ingredients for the skin. It's proven to deliver results for the skin, and that's why we use ingredients like that.
And I really appreciate that because so often people are talking about clean beauty, and we go to stores like Credo where, they're known for having, or they're supposed to have all these clean products. But, one thing for me is, it's great if it's clean, but does it work? Is it effective? And so I'm curious about that connection there and what we're seeing and what you see for the future.
Yeah, I think As I mentioned before, the consumer is really concerned with safe products and using safe and effective products. That's the key thing. So I think this whole movement around clean, it's not going to have a lot of legs because many brands and products already conform to what's considered to be clean by these specific retailers or even some of these apps that try to help consumers understand what's clean and what's not. So that's a key thing.
I couldn't agree more, and I think that there's a lot of sort of miscommunication or sort of changing the narrative around it. So people are like we're trying to push the clean beauty, but people aren't asking, is it clean and effective? They're not going that next step. And to me, I think we're missing out by not asking that because I think there's a lot of technology, whether biotech, etc., that really is going to play a role in this. And I think that people are scared of things that they don't know, and the questions that are being answered really need to be a bit more extensive and curious about what we really want. And at the end of the day, when I put things on my face, I want results.
Exactly. I know consumers more cost conscious. They're watching their pocketbooks, their wallets, and everything they spend, it's got to make a difference. Otherwise, it becomes a waste, and no one has time for waste. So, totally agree. The consumer wants results. They want safety as well, but they want results. I do want to touch on your question about biotech and how that comes into play. Biotech is a great space. It's a growing space, and what that means is that we could find or leverage things that ingredients that occur naturally, and rather than deplete the resources from our earth and harvest and use up those types of natural materials, we use biotech to recreate them in the lab at scale. So basically, we're taking the best of nature and scaling it in a laboratory setting so that it is completely sustainable, yet it has its roots in nature.
I think that a lot of this is going to rely on education to educate the consumer about this so they can better understand and make more informed choices. What do you think the most misconceived idea that they have, that the community has or buyers have, around natural products is?
Yeah, I think there's some folks that feel natural is better and that synthetic is bad. And that's a really big piece of misinformation. And I on my social media channels, I try to educate and myth bust and explain. First of all, everything is a chemical. Air is a chemical, water is a chemical, and so we need chemicals. We can't exist without them. And some chemicals are naturally derived and some are synthetic. There are some natural products and ingredients which are toxic, and too much of them could hurt us. And the same thing with synthetics. So really, the best products use both natural, synthetic. They blend them and they compose them in a way to deliver great aesthetics, and again, as we talked about, products that work, deliver results, perform.
So when folks go into a store, whether it's Sephora or Ulta or wherever to go buy products, what are some of the things that they should be mindful of to stay away from?
Yeah, if you're shopping in those stores, the vetting has already happened. You're getting products that have been tested, deemed safe, in most cases clean, whatever that word means. And I think where the consumer can really dig deeper and peel back the onion a little bit more is whether or not that product is transparent about ingredients they use, what percentages, sometimes that matters, and also any clinical testing or third-party testing to show that that product delivers results. So that's where the consumer needs to come in and do some research.
So if we're looking at like these larger products that we see in Sephora, some of them are, it's like you said, you could have Clinique, you could have Giorgio Armani, you could have um, products like Dr. Brandt or Dr. Gross, right? And we're looking at them. How do you compare the research and the trials that have been done by a doctor versus a regular brand that maybe is not that is not supported by a doctor or not, derived by a doctor?
Yeah, so it's a great question. Many consumers are looking for expert perspectives, and some brands are founded and are branded as an expert brand. We talked about some other brands like Dr. Dennis Gross, where it's a dermatologist founded brand. I'm a cosmetic chemist. I'm another type of expert. My expertise is in formulating and developing products for the skin. And they have other brand founders and other brands that do not have any type of expert founder. And I think we can all play with the understanding that consumers want results and they want validation. So any brand, whether doctor led or not, can do testing, third party testing to show that their product delivers and can meet the needs of consumers.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting topic because many times people talk about the brands that you see on the shelves and the access, and then you go to the doctors and they're like, "Well, we don't have those strengths on the shelves. You have to buy those here." And so, as the consumer, what do we do? To me, the doctor's the expert as I'm standing there in the office, right? But that's only because I don't know better potentially.
Right, right. That's true. And yeah, so you're there in the office, and you've had a treatment, and you're more likely to listen to the expert after you get out of the chair, and you had just had your treatment. Hey, what do I do to maintain this or achieve this? Yes, you have that captive audience. If you're shopping around in a retailer environment, you don't have that assistance as you would. So the onus is on the customer to go in and having done some research or doing research while shopping to find the right product for their skin.
So, as a chemist, I'm sure there's things that you might tell people to stay away from, right? That they see. Can you maybe share a few of those things that people maybe misunderstood and thought were good, but maybe really should take a second look at and look a little
Yeah, I think
further?
when I think about recommending or things that types of products consumers should be bringing into their routine, introducing into the routine, is stick with the basics, thinking about a good gentle cleanser, a moisturizer, and a sunscreen. Those are the three things that most consumers need to maintain healthy skin. So that's my advice. You don't need to go chasing the latest anti-wrinkle or spot treatment unless that's a specific concern that you have.
Right.
So it's after you've done those first three things: cleanse, moisturize, protect your skin with sunscreen, and you have other concerns that are more specialized, more advanced, then you could seek out, hey, do I need a product to help smooth my skin texture? Do I need a product that's going to even out my skin tone? Do I need a product that's going to lift and firm or reduce my fine lines and wrinkles? And then you can go into those specials. But basics first, avoid the other types of specialist items unless that's a specific concern you are looking to address.
So when we're going in there and we're doing our research, whether beforehand or at the shop, and we're looking for those three products, I'm wondering, as a chemist, and we think about ingredients and we want products to be transparent, are there things that we should be aware of that maybe we shouldn't get? Like when I go to buy my oat milk, I try to find one that doesn't have any gum in it. I just want oats, water, and a pinch of Himalayan pink sea salt. I want clean ingredients. So, as that relates to the products that we're talking about here, what could you tell us to look for, to avoid, and also to make sure it does include because it's really helpful?
For sure. Let's go one by one. Cleansing, you want to look for a sulfate-free cleanser. What cleansers do is they work to help dissolve dirt, oil, makeup debris. And in order to remove all of that stuff, you need to have or include what's called a surfactant, which is a cleansing ingredient. Some cleansing ingredients can be too aggressive and strip the skin. So sulfates are one thing to look out for. you don't need that in your facial cleanser. Look for a gentle cleanser that has more coconut-based cleansing ingredients that will gently cleanse your skin effectively. Next step,
Wait,
moisturize.
before we go
Go
on to
on.
the
Yes,
next one, I have a question though. If we're
sure.
using a cleanser and it says clean, can we expect that it doesn't have a sulfate in it? Or does that not play a role? Do we still need to dig deeper?
Yeah, so sulfates are a suspect ingredient, and most clean standards do not include sulfates. So that would be a no. So that would be a case where the clean guideline for most of these retailers might be a good fit, meaning that it's likely going to be a more of a gentle cleanser because it doesn't contain that type of ingredient. So
Hmm.
that's one great example. So moving into moisturizer, that's your second step. Moisturization is key because it's going to help repair your barrier, soften your skin, and just rebuild and maintain healthy skin. You want to look for ingredients like humectants, that like glycerin, and look for other hydrating ingredients like hyaluronic acid or ceramides. These are the key things you can look for in a really good facial moisturizer.
Is there anything that we should be aware of that might pop out that's not good that we should sort of pass over and move on to the next contender?
Yeah, with moisturizer, you want to make sure that it's not too light, that in other words, it won't do the job of actually hydrating your skin, or not too heavy and greasy. So the texture matters and it's very personal. So
Yeah,
those are the key things to look out for. So
I
it's
like a nice rich one that
yes,
makes me look dewy.
dewy, yes. So yeah, and some people like more of a gel cream lighter one. So it's really preference based. So you got to shop around and sample and try.
Okay, but at least we have tips on, what direction to kind of go to. So the third one that you were talking about, we had the cleanser, we had the moisturizer, and third we had the sunscreen.
Sunscreen. Yeah. So things to look out there. Look for the sunscreen. A minimum of SPF 30, broad spectrum protection. Experts agree that SPF 30 at the minimum is going to protect your skin from most of the UV damage that's possible through exposure to UV, sun, light, etc. So look for a minimum of 30. And there are two types of sunscreens. There are chemical sunscreens, which are more of these are synthetics, and they work to mostly absorb UV light and prevent it from going and penetrating the skin and causing damage. And then there are mineral sunscreens. These are natural based sunscreens. Zinc oxide is very common, as well as titanium dioxide. They're known for, if you ever see lifeguards with the white over their nose, those are classic zinc oxide or titanium dioxide products. So you don't want to necessarily walk around with a white cast on your face. So mineral sunscreens have evolved, they've improved, so they're more sheer, and you can get a great SPF 30 mineral sunscreen that is sheer and looks great on the skin. So two options, chemical sunscreens and mineral sunscreens. You want a minimum of SPF 30.
So it sounds like to me the beauty industry is doing a really good job of bringing us products that are safe and effective. And I think it's really now on the onus for both the brands and the consumers because we need to either ask for education or be educated so that we can
Right.
make more informed choices.
Absolutely. And I think if the brands that are winning today are being transparent, they're educating consumers, and they're creating products that are really delivering results, which is the key thing. That's as we agreed at the end of the day, I want to buy a product that's going to show results, deliver results for me.
And so as we look at the future, right, because we're always hoping things are going to improve
Yeah.
and get better, what do you see for the beauty industry and what do you see spearheading that? Whether it's, natural products or is it the biotech or something completely different?
Yeah. I see a few big trends in the industry coming up. First of all, this idea about ingredient information, providing more information to consumers will continue. I think every brand now needs to be an educator as well as a seller. So I think that trend will continue. We talked about the connection with health. I think consumers more than ever are understanding the need around the idea about inflammation. And we have, people in the new administration that are really going after what's potentially inflammatory types of processed foods and seed oils. And consumers are recognizing that they should be considerate of being or using anti-inflammatory skincare as well, knowing that they don't want the bloating and the puffiness and irritation that can happen with not treating your skin by providing anti-inflammatory benefits. And we're in an era of Ozempic where consumers might be losing rapid weight loss and seeing changes in their facial skin, which might require skincare to help lift, firm, and tone. So I think those are some of the things that we will be looking out for. We can't forget Gen Alpha with a new crop of consumers that are in that 10 to 16 years old range, which are getting into skincare and might be using products that are too grown up for them and not right for their skin. So that's another movement we have to watch and look for products that are going to be more catered for that gentle pre-adolescent skin. So those are some of the big macro trends we see going forward. And I think many brands will be, again, either having products or launching products to address those needs, or again, doubling down on the education of why ingredients and ingredients and products that they sell, why they're important, why they're relevant, and how they could benefit consumers.
So, the last kind of piece that I want to touch on is the planet. And, in terms of the products that we're creating or you're creating, because clearly I'm not creating anything in terms of a product, but, as you create a product, you're thinking about what's going into it and you're thinking about the packaging and then disposal of this. And what role does sustainability play in it for you? Because that's, going to impact the health, the wellness, and the future of the planet.
A big concern. Many brands, big and small, are focusing on this. And the thing is, our suppliers, those people, those companies that we go to get our packaging and componentry, they are coming forward as well. I think the bigger question is, how does our city, state, region, country help to recycle and make sure that if we use highly sustainable packaging, that it actually gets treated as such and just doesn't get dumped with everything else. So that's the key. That's a bigger question. It's almost, the beauty industry is looking at this as it's more than just us. We're doing our part. We're really trying to use more sustainable and recyclable materials in our products and packaging, but we need help from, again, every municipality, city, state, etc., county.
Well, I mean, and to that point, I know where we live, where we recycle, they have very strict guidelines. So even if, something comes in a recycle thing, they only accept a small percentage of it to be recycled. So I think there really does need to be some sort of conversation between these municipalities and the suppliers so that we can come up with something that's uniform, because otherwise there's a lot of, dare I say, greenwashing going around this, because it's not really something that we can even recycle or upcycle, or it doesn't meet those guidelines for the specific.
Totally agree. So it's a big job. We have to keep fighting the good fight, and again, doing as best as we can with the materials that we have and pushing everyone to help us be more sustainable. So key.
Awesome. Ron, thank you so much for joining me today. I
Likewise, thank
really
you so much for
appreciate
having
that. It
me.
was a
Really
great
appreciate
conversation.
it.
Oh, my pleasure. And we look forward to continuing to see what you guys are doing and how things evolve, and what role, if any, food plays in this and how natural kind of evolves. Because I'm curious to see, since natural is so sort of out there and everybody's saying everything's natural, but then we're not showing the efficacy of it or the
Exactly.
impact of it. what is this going to end up looking like? And are we going to end up being a lot more comfortable with things that right now seem scary, but really could be a whole lot more
Yeah,
useful?
I think we're going to end up in a place where consumers become more informed, they are more educated, understanding just because it's natural doesn't mean it's necessarily good for them. They'll understand nuance. They'll understand that level and concentration matters, and it's a balance. And again, it's up
Yeah.
to them. Do your research, test, trial, sample, and find the best products for them within those guidelines of, again, cleanse, moisturize, protect your skin.
Awesome, Ron. Thanks so much for joining me
Likewise, thank
today.
you so
This
much
was
for having me. Appreciate it.
And for folks that want to learn more about what you do or learn more about your product, what's the best way to connect or
Follow my
learn more?
brand at BeautyStat on all social, and you can follow me where you can hear all of my educational content and videos at Ron Robinson Cosmetic Chemist.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks again. And I want to thank our guests for tuning in today. They've become friends and family, and I'm so excited always to bring guests like yourself that can really impact, how we make decisions.
Thank you.
So thank you. So thanks all for tuning in today. You guys have become friends and family of the community, and it is the community that I really appreciate, and that keeps me coming back each week to bring you new guests to talk about the future of food and what it means for our health, wellness, and the planet. So today's episode, if you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to it, like it, share it with friends. And whether you listen to us on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube, we have choices for both. So please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.